So, thank you for watching. My name is Niko House. I am the host of political radio show Mikasa Says Sukasa. And, yo, some of the excerpts from Hillary Clinton's book have come out, and it almost makes me want to do some things. I don't even know. I feel like she's legitimately a sociopath. I feel like her mental issues are not something to joke about. I feel like they're legitimate. I feel like we should not be taking the words of this woman seriously. I feel like her candidacy is a joke. I think that she should have never been in a position to run a country, let alone run the free world. Okay? Just some of these things that she has said have not only been disproven, but been disproven time and time again. She contradicts herself. She plays the victim the entire time. She claims to be a feminist, but in my mind, feminism is all about empowering. At least that's what I thought. But she doesn't empower herself. She just cries and moans and bitches and makes herself the victim time and time again, instead of owning up to her responsibilities in the failure of the Democratic Party. I want to read to you one of the excerpts from the book, just a little bit of it. Some of his supporters, the so-called Bernie Bros, by the way, that was a term started and has been proven to be started by one of Hillary Clinton's little, it was either Huffington Post or Politico, I can't remember, but essentially that was a term that they started and infused into the political rhetoric at the time, the same way they infused the idea that Obama was a Muslim by leaking Muslim photos. So that was wrong. Yeah, she lied about that and she knew it. It was started by one of her super PACs. So it got ugly and more than a little sexist. Really? Really? Did any of us really care that Hillary Clinton was a woman? At this point, we despised her so much for, the super predator comments, selling weapons to terrorists, the email scandal that people thought was like, she destroyed emails. She got spies killed overseas. A lot of the right hated her for Benghazi. I mean, nobody really cared that she was a woman. We hated you because you sucked as a Secretary of State. You were probably the worst Secretary of State in history, as far as I'm concerned. And you had no policy, like no legitimate policy stances. You were always a little wavery right there. You like in the bouncy house. You was always dancing around. But let's go a little further. She said, when I finally challenged Bernie during the debate to name a single time I changed a position or a vote because of a financial contribution, he couldn't come up with anything. Really? Really? So we're just going to ignore the whole... Sometimes in politics, you have to have a public stance and a private stance. It's pretty indicative of what you would do. I mean, not to mention, in order for you to change your stance or your policy position or even your policy itself, what you would have to do is, introduce significant legislation to begin with, because you didn't. You wasted your entire time in the U.S. Senate when you were a senator of New York. You didn't introduce anything. And then the few times that you were asked to vote on something significant, you voted super neoconservative. So, then not to mention, there was the universal health care that you wanted. Remember that? Actually, that was, believe it or not, people, that was actually Hillary Clinton's idea at first. And then look what happened. Instead of now wanting universal health care, all of a sudden it's gone back to, we should reform the ACA a little bit at a time. That was kind of like her motto, right? Incrementalism, people. So Bernie actually did do a good job of this. I don't even want to waste my time finding a clip for that, because that was like, he did that several times. Nonetheless, his attacks caused lasting damage, making it harder to unify progressives in the general election and paving the way for Trump's crooked Hillary campaign. Because there is no way, there's absolutely no way that Hillary Clinton set herself up for the whole crooked Hillary campaign. Nothing to do with that, right? Okay. Yeah. I don't know if it bothered Bernie or not. He certainly shared my horror at the thought of Donald Trump becoming president, and I appreciated that he campaigned for me in the general election. Appreciated? You pretty much forced him with a damn gun to the back of his head. Are you serious? But he isn't a Democrat. That's not a smear. That's what he says. He didn't get into the race to make sure a Democrat won the White House. He got in to disrupt the Democratic Party. And you know what? I'm okay with that. I'm okay that he didn't get into the race to make sure a Democrat won the White House. He actually made it very, very clear as to why he entered the race. It was to win. He made it very clear that he was an independent running as a Democrat because you all control the political system disproportionately. I think that I am perfectly fine. And this is where she doesn't get it. She doesn't get it. We don't care about who's in the White House, Democrat or Republican, because of your party. We care about what you are supposing, what you're purporting that your party represents. And you don't. You all represent elites. You represent elitism and the establishment. That's why you didn't win. That's why, because you weren't the only one who lost. Once again, Democrats across the nation lost because of what you all represent. He said that he was right that the Democrats needed to strengthen our focus on working families and that there's always a danger of spending too much time courting donors. Mind you, she's still doing so. $600 a seat for her first book tour. That there's always he also engaged a lot of young people in the political process, and that's important. But I think he was fundamentally wrong about the Democratic Party, the party that brought us Social Security under Roosevelt. Yeah, mind you, by the way, in case y'all didn't know, that was after the Democrats actually sent them into the Depression. Now, some people argue that it was the Republicans, but that was actually the quote-unquote old Republican Party, so it's actually the new Democrats. Yeah. So, there's that. Medicare and Medicaid under Lyndon B. Johnson, the racist. Pretty much somewhat very similar to Hillary, except for he was forced to pass Medicaid and Medicare because he had to quell essentially all the dissent because JFK passed away. Vietnam War, he was profiting off of. He was actually, his family got rich off of building the canals in Vietnam, in case you didn't know that. And Lyndon B. Johnson said specifically that he would actually have black people voting Democrat for the next century because he knew that even with policy passing, they can control us by us not paying attention to the details, if you will, which we now have the ability to do, right? So yeah, Lyndon B. Johnson was a racist. Oh yeah, it gets better. Peace between Israel and Egypt under Carter. Carter was actually pretty good. Broad-based prosperity, and Carter actually doesn't like the Democratic Party right now. So yeah, broad-based prosperity and balanced budgeting under President Bill Clinton. Right, okay. Who rescued the auto industry and passed the healthcare reform that's sending us into a ridiculously spiraling debt, both personally and federally. And tough new rules on Wall Street under Obama. Oh, you mean the same Obama that bailed out the banks? The same one who bailed out the banks didn't even hold them accountable and then used our tax dollars to foot the bill. That Obama. Okay, all right, that's cool. Sweet babies. I'm proud to be a Democrat, and I wish Bernie was too. You're proud to be a Democrat because you control the entire party. You were a Republican. You were a Goldwater girl. Your family was Republican. Your family spent a good amount of time actually trying to get Bill Clinton to shift to be Republican while he was in the White House. In fact, you celebrated Confederate Flag Day. There's almost zero about you that is actually Democratic. You're a Republican. You're a wolf in bear's clothing. Right? Good God. This is another excerpt. Throughout the primaries, every time I wanted to hit back against Bernie's attacks, I was told to restrain myself. Oh. If anybody watched any of the debates, especially the beginning, Bernie Sanders absolutely refused to attack this woman. Even though she was lobbing grenades at him, these, just these ambiguous moral platitudes. Like, Bernie was actually talking about policies. He was talking about the things that people wanted to hear. If you all remember, whenever Bernie Sanders gave his introduction during the very first debate, his name surged in the Google search results because he was talking about things Americans wanted. He wasn't wasting time attacking Hillary. And even still, he just went on, because Hillary kept attacking Bernie in this book, he just went on MSNBC saying, nobody really believes that, and move right on to the issues. I wish he would attack her. I really do, because Well, the truth of the matter is, he had an opportunity to expose Hillary Clinton for exactly who she was, which is a maniacal, conniving, evil bitch. And she is. She's evil. I don't throw that word around a lot, but the woman is evil. She's evil. Okay? And she has a problem with accepting responsibility for her actions to the point where she's damaging the party. And she even tried to hurt Bernie Sanders, and now Bernie Sanders once again is taking the high road. You know, like what Hillary Clinton said, what? When they go low, we go high. Yeah. Trying to quote Michelle Obama, and look, this is high for her. Noting that his plans didn't add up and that they would inevitably mean raising taxes on the middle class families, or that they were little more than a pipe dream. That's false. It's characteristic. It's false. It's categorically false. It's not. It's been proven that his plans actually save trillions of dollars over 10 years. Trillions, not trillion. Not billion, not million, but trillions with the S at the end, a big old S. You were the one planning on. We saw your tax plan. You planned on raising money for the middle class. You are raising taxes on the middle class. Your plan came out. Remember, we saw this. ACA was already killing the middle class. Affordable Health Care Act, for those of you who don't know. For those of you who don't know what that is, that's the Obamacare. Oh, Jesus. She said my team kept reminding me that we didn't want to alienate Bernie supporters. President Obama urged me to grit my teeth and lay off Bernie as much as I could. You were attacking him from the moment the fucking gun went off. Come on. I felt like I was in a straitjacket. What are you going to attack him on? You going to attack him for fighting for civil rights? Like you tried to get John Lewis to do, even though he straight lies. I remember seeing Bill and Hillary, the same Bill and Hillary who enacted Confederate Flag Day in Arkansas. That same Bill and Hillary, saying that you saw them fighting for civil rights whenever Bernie Sanders was standing right beside John Lewis. So yeah, she was in a straitjacket. She literally attacked him every opportunity she got. Even attacked his grandkids. Saying like, oh yeah, my grandkids are actually my grandkids, as in insinuating that his weren't his because they were adopted. I mean, she attacked them regularly, and we pretend like that's not important. Like we pretend like it didn't happen. Well, she does, and to think that she thinks that all this is about sexism is freaking hilarious. Barack Obama experienced racism regularly. The insults never stopped, and they still don't stop. I'm not a fan of Barack Obama. Racism happened. It spawned the Tea Party that included both racist Democrats and Republicans. And never did he write a book in his memoir just lying about the racist attacks, because he had legitimate racist attacks and didn't even make a big deal out of them. But you didn't even get attacked on the basis of your sex or your gender. You were attacked because nobody liked you. Nobody liked you. That's why you lost. Get over it. Move on. I would like to take this opportunity to tell you all that Jared H. Beck, one of the lawyers from the DNC fraud lawsuit, is actually doing a book, and we actually just got a publisher for this book. So he's going to do a book in response to Hillary Clinton, and I'm sure it's going to be awesome. And it's going to include your stories. He wants you to email them or go to the DNC fraud lawsuit Twitter page, Facebook page, and let him know your story so he can put it in the book, so we can talk about what really happened during the 2016 Democratic primaries. Thank you all so much for watching. Always remember, find your balance.